Like I said, we are in the heart of this thing right now. And as it currently sits, the guys do have an off day today. So shout out to that. But more importantly, man, we know the Steelers just had their Friday night lights practice over the weekend, as well as practice Saturday and Sunday following it. And it's been pretty cool, man, from my eyes, man. I think it's always important, man, when you start to break out the pads, which was something that, has more recently happened. And now we're getting multiple padded practices and stuff like that. I think it's important for these dudes, man, because now we get a chance to really see who's developing, who's advancing. Like I said, man, when it's OTAs, when it's that first week of training camp, the acclimation period, it's cool. But at the same time, to me, it's not really authentic football because you're removing the physical element, which is that contact, which is that helmet, them shoulder pads popping, where it sounds like gunshots, clouded with a chance of that. Yeah. Love it, right? But now we're getting more and more of that, and we're hearing more and more reports of it, and we're getting more clarity on guys that are playing well, are developing, versus some of the guys that are struggling a little bit or trying to find their footing as well, man. We'll put it like that. But I think there are a lot of positives in all of the scenarios and all of the reports that we've been hearing, whether it's, some of the chemistry reports that we've been talking about, right? We know we're trying to see how quickly Aaron Rodgers builds that chemistry with the DK Metcalf, how quickly he can build chemistry with a Calvin Austin, a Roman Wilson, a Robert Woods, etc., right? Or even these tight ends, Darnell Washington, right? But these are the things that we need to get done. These are the reps that have to happen in order for it to translate to the season. Right. As much as we want to see these guys be perfect and everybody looks good on offense, everybody looks good on defense in training camp, that's just not a reality. Right. Because you got guys that, when we're talking about some of our pass rushers or some of our offensive linemen, some guys are a lot more proven than some of the other guys. So with that, there are going to be some context, some things where, some dudes may look further ahead at this stage than others. But I think it's also important to understand that it's still the team concept. And yes, certain drills are going to highlight strengths and weaknesses, but more importantly, it's giving this team information. So now when you're playing against other teams, we have that intimate understanding of what you do well, but what you struggle with. And now we can put together a plan in terms of how to protect certain people or how to put people in positions to highlight their strengths versus trying to make them overcome their weaknesses. You can make it work, but it's just a lot more of a challenge. It's a lot more difficult. And sometimes it's a lot less fun going that route. So I say that because obviously we know, man, we've had a couple of players, man, kind of stand out, make some noise, while having a couple of players also, kind of be on the not so good end of it, man, in terms of some of the reports. But I do want to start with some of the positive stuff, though, man. Darnell Washington, a.k.a. Mount Washington. Shout out, man. Everything I've been hearing from him, man, he's been doing his thing, man. Not just from a blocking standpoint, which we know coming out of college was his strength or should have been a strength. We know he had a little bit of a rocky go at it when he first was transitioning to that level. But now, I mean, you see that showing up. You see him blocking and consistently blocking, not just, the guys that he should block, but even some of the guys you're like, yo, you ain't supposed to be able to block that guy. That's popping up. That's happening a little bit more frequently, a little bit more consistent. And I think that that's huge, man, because if you can have that type of guy out there, but also have him be a asset in the blocking game consistently, whether it's run or pass, now when you're talking about some of the disguises, now when you're talking about some of the versatility or some of the multiple looks that we want to give teams from an offensive perspective, this adds to that. You heard, I think it was Arthur Smith said, man, was it the 4 tight end set, right? That's his dream thing. Can I get 4 tight end sets? Well, how do you get that? Well, we know Pat Frymouth, we know Jonnu Smith, we feel great about those guys. But now it becomes the others, right? Darnell Washington, are you going to be a consistent player that we can trust, whether it's blocking or catching? Hey, we need another guy. Connor Haywood, man, we haven't forgotten about you and some of your versatility and some of the things that you bring to the table from an athletic standpoint. These are the things to me that continue to make me excited about what I'm hearing from Darnell Washington or hearing about Darnell Washington. But to add to that, because like I said, man, I think I forgot which linebacker they were talking to. He was like, yeah, man, this dude's pretty much been, a cheat code while he's out here. And that's largely due to his, athleticism, his ability to go up to the 12th floor and, pluck that ball out the air. I don't know if y'all saw the picture, right? I saw the picture where literally he's like in the corner of the end zone catching the ball and he high points it. and you can barely see the football. The football looks like about that big. His hands look like massive. And you're just like, bro, Darnell, like you are a just insanely large human. Like the thing looked crazy. I want y'all to go find the picture, man. Like I said, man, it was on one of them social media sites, man. But look, he goes up and he's 2-hand high pointing that ball. And it's just like, wow, man, this is why we brought you here. This is why we drafted you. And this is more importantly why a lot of us, including myself, were excited about Darnell Washington joining the black and gold. But I also like the fact that him specifically was on record, man, saying that, you know, he would also be open to playing tackle, offensive tackle, that is. He's like, yeah, man, I know I could do it. He's like, man, I would be eager. I could definitely do that. But at the same time, like, man, pump your brakes. You a tight end. Tight ends, yeah, you can get paid a lot of money over there doing your thing, man. And you don't have to gain all that weight either. All right. But as a whole, though, I did like the fact that he was open to it, that he would even just throw that out there like, man, listen, I'm not, you know, it doesn't have to always go exactly how I want it to go. I'm okay with, man, if the team needed me to play here, I would do it. And I feel capable in doing that as well, or capable in his abilities to do that. And I think that these are, you know, things that are very promising when you're talking about young players, man, coming into this league and just trying to find their role, man, trying to figure out where they're going to be, you know, as a professional with this roster and stuff like that, man. So like I said, man, with Darnell Washington, keep doing what you're doing, baby. Keep doing what you're doing. But yeah, we don't need you at offensive line just yet. All right, we're going to take some time with you on that one. All right, for sure. Going to take some time. Make sure you hit that like button too while we at it. And don't forget to subscribe either if you are new to the channel. Because, like I said, man, some other things that have been happening or positive information coming from training camp. We had some positional flexibility being shown at Friday Night Lights. All right. This is becoming like a reoccurring thing every Friday Night Lights, man. Just, hey, I want to see some versatility. This is the place to be at. All right. We know a couple of years ago, we had Kendrick Green all of a sudden pop up from the guard spot / center spot to fullback, right? Well, they spun the block and did it again this go around, but this time with a little bit more mobile version. All right. Talking about Mark Robinson, aka C-ball, hit ball. You know what Mark gonna do. All right. But yeah, man, Friday Night Lights, man. They've, you know, gave him some opportunities, man. And yeah, it's one of those things where obviously when we're talking about Mark Robinson, man, taking some snaps at fullback, it can go multiple ways, right? Some people look at it and say the more you can do. And I'm a believer in the more you can do. Yeah, you came here to play linebacker, but you got running back background, obviously what you were doing, you know, prior to your time in the NFL. We also know that you've shown that you can do more than just play linebacker in the sense that you even go out there and play special teams, right? You become one of our key contributors on special teams, especially the coverage units. So once again, we like that part. We like the fact that you're willing to open yourself up, that you're willing to do a little bit more. But at the same time, that's the thing where I'm like, all right, I'm liking this and that's how I want to look at it. But I also have to look at the other side of it also, which is if they're asking you to do more, if they're trying to see, you know, can you do this? Can you do that? Are they doing that because they're trying to find more value in you because you're not the most valuable at one specific thing? And that could also be the case. I know at times that was my fight. You know, when they say you're a jack of all trades, but not a master of one. And at times there are pros to that, but at times there are cons to that as well. And for me, man, when I'm looking at Mark Robinson, I'm just a little bit cautious about that because we do know we drafted a linebacker late this year, man. Carson Bruner, we know former black and gold alum, right, in terms of his father. But to me, man, when you look at Carson Bruner, you look at his film, man, that's a dude that should, you know, transition into a special teams player very similar to Mark Robinson in terms of the athleticism, the size that they have. So when you're looking at that and then you start to throw into account the money element in terms of Mark being more expensive than Carson, these are some of the things where you're just looking and it's like, man, make sure that that linebacker stuff is still looking the way that's supposed to, while also showing that you can still pick up some of this other things, right? Because like I said, man, he was a running back, man. He did used to play running back, and that part I do like, man. Ain't nothing like getting that rock in your hands. All linebackers I feel like used to play running back, right? I used to tote that rock too, man. It's like, yo, we hunt what we are. Like, I get it. You know what I mean? So yeah, if you go out there and touch that rock, it feels good. It feels good. You know what I mean? But let's keep the main thing. And I think that that's the thing that we also want to be just reminded of, because when I go back to that Kendrick Green situation, yes, he looked good in that, practice, and we were excited about it. But then we never really got a chance to see it actually happen in game. And then he ended up getting released that same offseason or that same preseason. So to me, man, when I look at Mark Robinson, I'm just saying, man, keep doing what you're doing, but make sure that you keep the main thing, because they don't draft players just to draft players. They draft them because they see something specifically about him that they want here. And it's going to be up to you to ultimately maintain your spot and keep him a ball for you, man. So shout out to those dudes, though, man. I guess on another positive note, all right, as we transition some of these injuries, because we have been starting to have little dings here and there, right? Obviously, Troy Fautanu is one of those guys, man. Alex Highsmith popped up. I don't know about y'all. Was I the only one who got that alert? I think it was yesterday. My phone went off, ding. It was the NFL, and they're like, hey, Alex Highsmith has to leave practice. I'm like, bro, I'm trying to cook these ribs real quick. Why are you trying to stress me out about Heismith leaving practice? Like, is it bad or is it okay? So, as we sit here right now, I believe Coach Tomlin said he was, one of them day-to-day things. So shouldn't be too crazy out there. So I do like that. But as a whole, I'm like, dang, bro, it was that significant that y'all had to hit everybody with the alert? Like, was I the only one? Y'all let me know in the comment section, pretty please. All right. Cause maybe I was the only one, but it popped up on my phone. I'm like, hey, bro, hold on now. I ain't got time for this. Definitely. Okay. I see X concept. He said, yeah, it happened to him too. Yeah, almost rumor week. And I'm like, hey, bro, don't you do this. And I know Heismith. So that was the other part. I'm like, dang, man, is it bad, or is it just medium? All right. Because we all know what a little growing, little hammy, a little soft tissue. It happens. It's training camp. It's hot. A lot of running, a lot of hydrate, rehydrate. I get it. But I'm like, man, don't be popping up with the alert. Y'all had me thinking it was serious, something for real. Like, I was just seeing when he was kicking butt the other night. Like, man, he was over here. Y'all know what he was doing that Friday night. Like, y'all know what the reports are, all right? We can't talk about the other side. We don't talk about this side of the report. They say he was over there putting belt on it. He said, how you want it? How do you want it? I take you outside. How do you feel? I go outside again. Coming up in a fast lane spin move. I get it, bro. It's Highsmith. The dude did have 14 and a half sacks in a single season. It's the reason why he's getting paid what he's getting paid, all right? But, yeah, man, I'm like, yo, don't mess up my weekend like that, man. I need that duo, okay? I need the Highsmith TJ. I like that. Like that a lot, okay? So, shout out to them dudes, man. But, yeah, it does seem like, at least from the initial reports, that, we did dodge a nice little bullet with the Alex Highsmith growing situation, man. So, I definitely like that. We obviously know that he isn't the only one dealing with some stuff. Like I said, Troy Fautanu been dealing with some stuff. Think they brought up Corey Trice as well, man. He's dealing with a hammy. So in terms of some of the bigger name guys, then we still do have a laundry list of other little nicks and knacks, and dudes have been brought on since then because of that. And that also, man, speaking of some of those injuries, that was part of the reason why Mark Robinson even took reps at fullback, was because DJ Thomas Jones, right? That was the rookie that we signed. He's our actual fullback. He's also been leaking oil a little bit, man, being sidelined with the injury. So that's the other part of, training camp, man. When guys go down, you look to see, man. And this is Coach Tomlin's mindset. And I can tell you because we've had these conversations verbatim. And it's basically, if you're a veteran player and I'm able to move you or inconvenience you with the hopes that spares, a rookie's development or a younger player's development, he is going to err on that side 9 times out of 10. So when you see a Mark Robinson go and take reps at fullback, it's because he feels like, man, Mark has already had multiple years at linebacker. So him missing a day or two or a meeting or two to take fullback reps and take fullback meetings isn't going to kill his development, isn't going to kill where he's at as a player. Whereas for a younger guy like Carson Bruner, you don't want to throw, too much on his plate when he's already trying to prove that he can just play one position at this level. So I know some of the reports, man, about Troy Fautanu, right? Because with Broderick kind of being up and down and things like that, there were questions about would Troy potentially take snaps at left tackle, and Coach Tomlin was really clear and adamant that no, he's not at this stage planning to give him any of those reps. And I know people are like, well, hey, man, y'all did it with Broderick. Why won't you do it with Troy? And I just think, man, for him, a couple of things. I think he kind of learned from the Broderick situation because he didn't want to do that, but out of the situation that was taking place, it kind of happened. Remember, Chooks made the comments that he made to the staff. We already had Dan Moore, who was in the heart of being, a 3-year starter at that time. So that was ultimately why Chooks went to the right, or that's why Chooks came out the lineup. Broderick went to the right. And from there, that was kind of how we've been. But now, when we're talking about that same type of scenario where it's like, would you want Troy to potentially play the left? I think for Coach Tomlin, the way that he's looking at it is, man, we don't have a need for him to go over there right now. You allow Broderick, you allow your Calvin Andersons, you allow your Spencer Andersons to take those reps while you allow the young guy to have a fully healthy training camp. Because remember, a year ago, he was also battling injury throughout the preseason. He didn't play in any preseason game, if I remember correctly. And then he showed up, I think it was week 2, Denver, right? And then played. And then obviously that was the last time that we saw him. So different in terms of who you want to ask to do a little bit more. And like I said, just from my personal experiences, I remember, man, it was a camp where, Coach Tomlin is like, we got injuries at inside linebacker. I know you can play inside linebacker. You already know what you're doing outside linebacker. I would much rather you go in here and take these reps, miss meetings at outside, because it's not going to kill your development. It's not going to kill you where you are on this fight, versus me taking a young year 1 or year 2 player and asking him to miss days, miss reps, miss meetings, and now try to still, gain ground or make progress in terms of where he's at career wise. Or the alternative is he has to go fire somebody, meaning cut a different position group player to go sign a guy that does play that spot as well. So those are some of the things that, really kind of go into the mindset when we're making those type of play or making those type of personnel decisions. And I think that's the cool part too with it, man. Just, some of the backstory like that, man, when those guys are asked with that, and it's like, literally, do you want your friend to get cut, or are you going to, figure out how to go play that position over there, or, make do with missing a meeting or two. But shout out, man, because obviously, as we said, because we keep looking, man, we know that I feel like there's still another move going to be made at some point. We looking at the receiver room. I think there's still going to be a move. All right. But we're being patient. I like the fact we had a game this weekend, so we'll get a chance to at least see something. All right. Maybe they knew a lot more than we do. Okay. Maybe that's the case. But I just a little bit. Just got a little bit on it. All right. But obviously, the elephant in the room would be the Broderick Jones situation, man. We know that he had a little bit of a rough go at it the other night, man. Shout out to Alex Heismith. Had a lot of success against him. But more importantly, man, I look at it and say iron sharpening iron. It's important to know that, Broderick is going against some of the best pass rushers in the world. All right. We obviously have heard some of the high praise that Troy Fautanu has gotten with TJ Watt, right? Where he's like, man, being able to go against young, athletic tackles like Troy, and that challenge, and just how he is pushing him and how, TJ is pushing Troy, vice versa. That part is awesome, man. But at the same time, TJ is still TJ. So when we're talking about Heismith, it's like, man, it's not a lot of pass rushers walking this earth that has had 14 and a half single season sack numbers at the NFL level. Shoot, this dude's had never done that at any level, collegiately or high school. That's a lot of sacks, a lot of butt getting kicked. So I look at that and I say, man, context does matter. Heismith is getting paid nicely. Heismith, man, is a dude that has proven on numerous occasions that he is a Pro Bowl caliber player, man. He's a dude that you can truly depend on and rely on. Broderick, on the other end, is young. He's still in the heart of his development, and this is his first year at the NFL level at left tackle. Because remember, he's been playing right tackle. So to me, he is going against, a person that is dang like high level fringe, if you want to call it fringe elite, because I look at the elites and I say that's TJ, that's Parsons, that's Myles Garrett, Max Crosby. I'm like, you're fringe elite. You're like right there on it. You do the 14 and a half again. What we talking about? So those are the things that when I look at Heismith, I'm like, yeah, this is awesome for Broderick. I think that for Broderick to get a chance to go against Heismith, to get a chance to go against Herbig, to get a chance to go against Sawyer, all of those guys, man, the different skill sets that they all possess are only going to make Broderick Jones better. You want to hear Broderick Jones getting his butt kicked because as a whole, he is learning. He's getting skills. He's getting whipped into shape. And now when he goes out there and he's playing week 1, week 2, week 3, that's not Alex Highsmith. You know what I mean? That's not Nick Herbig. That's not those type of guys. But he'll have already been able to acquire so much information about his strengths wise, weakness wise, that now when he's playing against some of these, nicer, more proven pass rushers, he'll be able to come out there and put together a pretty daggone good performance, because we know a lot of what we have, in terms of our hopes, in terms of our expectations, are heavily based on Broderick and this offensive line protecting Aaron Rodgers. I think Ron is ready to do his thing, man. He's whooping himself into shape, right? Getting some of that rust off, because we know he didn't have a full offseason with us. But he's more and more sharp, building more and more of a rapport, tapping into some of these receivers, these tight ends and stuff. So I'm liking all of that, but none of that matters if we can't protect him and keep him upright. And I think that that's going to be the critical part when we're talking about this offensive line and just ultimately how they continue to develop. Now, we want them to be healthy, and I think that's the other part, but at least on paper, I do like the depth options, man. When you're talking about the Andersons, Calvin and Spencer, we got two versatile dudes, man, that have started games and have played in multiple games for the black and gold and have helped get us out of stadiums. I think that that's something that we should be feeling confident in. Now, we don't have the type of depth that we've had, 2 years ago. We were like, yo, we got the starting group, and then we got the back group that looks just as nice. Nah, remember, everybody got beat up and banged up. But now it's like, man, we got a pretty good group that we feel confident in, and we still should feel good about the guys that we're, having the reserves also. But all of that is just lip service if these dudes don't go out there and make it look like that starting this weekend, obviously versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, man, in that preseason game. But yeah, man, as a whole, man, I don't have a lot of concern about Broderick right now. Like I said, if he was doing this and it was, against some no-name dudes, some guys we've never heard of before, different conversation. Alex Highsmith then whooped, man, we can go down the list, right? Alex Highsmith got Ronnie Stanley on his mixtape. He got Orlando Brown on his mixtape. It's a long list of bodies that Highsmith walk around like, I know y'all, everybody go crazy over the highest paid non-quarterback TJ Watt, but let me just show you both my collection of heads I got over here, all right? And that's the thing that I'm such a fan of with Highsmith. It's like, yo, that's a heck of a Robin, all right? Don't trip. That's a heck of a Robin right there, man. So shout out to those dudes though, man. But like I said, man, the other thing that I will say is this too. I'm liking some of the clips that I've been seeing, man, with just the good on good receivers versus DBs. I'm seeing the Jalen Ramsey, the DK Metcalf, the DK, the JPJs, the Roman Wilsons versus the JPJs. I'm like, yo, I'm just everything I need to see, man. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Because this is the competitive vibe. This is that competitive atmosphere that you need at training camp, man. That's why Latrobe is so cool, man. You get out that joint, you forget about everything because it's just literally ball. That's all you playing, ball. It ain't glitz, it ain't glamour, it ain't a whole bunch of pop-up tents, make you feel nice and good. Nah, we out here to get after it. I'm trying to punch you in the face. You're trying to punch you in my face. I don't like you for the 2.5 hours that we out here, and it's hot. We sweaty. You know what time it is, but it is what it is, man. And ultimately, you form that brotherhood. And that's the other thing that I do keep hearing about, the guys over there, specifically when they're talking Aaron Rodgers. I would want to say that, man, because Corey Trice, man, he was also highlighting that specifically when talking about some of the new additions to the team, man. Talking about how Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay have really had an impact on that secondary in terms of not just how they practice, but when you're in the film room with those guys and talking to them, picking their brains and understanding what they're trying to see, what they're keying in on. But he also talked about just, their sense of humor. He's like, yo, both of these dudes, big personalities, like to have a lot of fun. And as a whole, man, it just makes it lighter. It makes it a little bit, easier to go through some of the grind that is training camp. But the other thing that he kind of spoke on specifically too was Aaron Rodgers. He's like, man, a lot of people, have a perception of him outside, but he's like, here, man, the way that this dude has been leaning in, talking to everybody, trying to hang out with everybody and just be one of the guys, be a true teammate. He said, man, that's one of the coolest things because, when you think about Rodgers, it's like, man, we're like, yo, it's Aaron Rodgers. We know he kind of has like that air about him, man. He's a little bit older than the guys. But the way Corey Trice is saying it, man, he's like, yo, the way that this dude like is being able to connect while also looking like turning back the clock a little bit when he's moving around out there, not looking like his age. We like that also. But like I said, man, those are the positive things that you want to hear. Those are the reports that you want specifically when you're talking about new additions at key leadership positions, right? We know this team is going to go as Rodgers goes. If he has a dope season, we're going to feel great about our offense. We're going to feel great about this team. If he has a bad year, if he looks bad, looks old, we're going to feel miserable about this offense and more importantly about this team. So those are all positives that I'm liking. And I think that, like I said, as a whole, I'm liking where we are right now, man, coming out of training camp, starting up a game week. All right. And like I said, man, I figure when we stream again later this week, that's when we'll talk more about, the matchup and stuff like that. And really, I'm not about to do a whole breakdown preview on that like that. But more importantly, man, just, some guys that we're going to be eyeing, right? Which young players? Who should we be? I want to see this. I want to see that. Or maybe open some phone lines up as well. All right. But shout out. Alrighty. And like I said, man, if y'all are enjoying what we are on today, man, make sure you hit the like button one time for the culture and subscribe if you are new to the channel.